Launch.
Heck yeah.
Want to start it?
Can I give a Cajun intro, Sean? I
would
think
love
this would
to
be
hear
great.
a Cajun intro.
Okay, hang on.
We're here with national torn comedian Sean Patton.
Sean Patton!
Is that the better way to do it? You just sort of pinch your words off
Yeah.
in the mouth, in the back of your mouth.
Man, I saw Sean. He was walking on the side of the road with some crab legs.
Crab legs? Fucking Cajun from Baltimore?
Wait, why are you acting like we don't boil crabs down here?
Blue crab legs.
Yes, there are crabs down here, and I'm not just talking about
This room. Oh,
The obvious ones.
in the brown bag that you get when you. I like. Here's the thing about crabs. I love crab meat. I don't like all the work that goes into crabs.
It's so much work.
I've avoided
It's kind of like comedy.
You're supposed to point at the cameras.
I'm looking at them.
Okay.
No, it's not.
It's like my dick.
Oh, and it's...
That's not true.
You know? Stop looking over my shoulder,
every
Sean.
podcast I do, I find out the host's penile length. What's very interesting is you guys are roughly in the same...
All right.
You're both...
Pull it up, J-Mo. Wait, wrong podcast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shit, what was I going to say?
You tell me.
Oh,
You were
no,
gonna
crabs.
say it.
No, I've avoided crabs because I only had like really old aunts and grandmas that would peel it for me, and then I'll just like go in there like a little raccoon and just eat a bushel of meat. But my wife is...
When you said I avoided crabs, and the beginning of the next sentence was, I had really old aunts and grandmas. If you only heard, if you were like in a room, in another room, and like a door was closing, and that's all you heard was, I avoided crabs. I had a bunch of really old aunts and grandmas, and the door shut, you'd be like, what the fuck was that incestual conversation about?
If your mom has crabs, are you born with crabs? Is that a thing?
We'll find out. No, but like, so my wife, that's her favorite thing in the world. And so we go eat crabs, and like, you gotta, like 6 crabs, you gotta devote 2.5 hours to, you know, and it just takes a long, but I like the process now. You just kind of slow down, but I'd rather just buy crab.
Not me,
meat
man.
and-
Put that meat in my mouth as fast as possible.
Yeah.
That'll work is...
I mean, I think that's the reason why so many people like me, like all three of us, were very, like, you remember artificial crab meat and how fucking awesome it was?
It's the best.
I think it's because even though you knew it was bullshit,
Yeah.
it was still the idea of, but I don't have to put any effort into this?
Yeah.
And it just sides with me. It's like Trump.
I mean, if I had money, I would buy the little plastic container of already peeled crab meat and just throw it in my mouth. But it's like $25-$30 a carton, you know? I ain't got that money.
This is the last time I ate crab meat from a can was the morning that Katrina hit.
Oh.
I just remember that because I stole it. And for months blamed the entire storm on my theft.
Were you doing comedy at that time?
Yeah.
How long? What year did you start?
I started. I mean, I've been doing so on October 3rd. My anniversary is October 3rd, 2001. That's when I started doing stand-up.
22 years.
I
Wow,
argue
so
that
you're like,
everyone-
September 11th happens, and you're like,
September
let's
11th
get into
happened.
comedy.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I have so many funny things to say now.
I knew I had wanted to do it for a long time, and it really, the storm didn't have that much to. I mean, not the storm. The storm of steel, as they call, as some people call, as George R.R. Martin calls 9/11, the storm of steel. But
Dragons can melt steel beams.
thank you. Dragon fire can melt steam.
Look
Thank
that
you,
up, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Science.
It was an inside job, inside of the house of Laden.
It was a dragon's egg. All right. Sorry.
But straight up, like I was already like the ball was already pushed over. The wheels are already set. Everything was going, and then 9/11 happened. And I remember, that did have something to do with it. Where I was like, "Fuck, man, I gotta fucking do this. I've been waiting too long. I've been fucking procrastinating, et cetera, et cetera." So I fucking did it. I also think sometimes you talk to comedians and you're like, "When did you start?" And you're like, well, I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
You fucking know.
Whenever they're like,
fucking
I've
know.
been a comedian my whole life. That's my least favorite. When you're like, when did you start comedy? It's like, I've been telling jokes to my family. You know,
I hate
since
to
I was
say
like,
it,
get the
but
fuck out of here, man.
but the ratio of that person who says that and how funny they are is a fucking lead seesaw, baby. You know what I mean? I mean, because also but also I think people are afraid to say how long they're doing it because they don't want to be judged for like skill level or success level.
Yeah,
you know?
This goes back into
You know?
we were talking Caitlin Palufo. You've heard of her. She did our first episode.
Okay, love Caitlin.
Yeah, one of the best. But I was like, we were talking about like when she started. You know, she was doing like 30 mics a week, and always said like, 1 year in New York is equal to like 7 here, because here in this town we have 2 mics. For a while it was just 1 mic.
Yeah.
Other than that, you got to drive to Baton Rouge to do that 1 mic.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's New Orleans.
Drive
You
to New
know,
Orleans.
so
Yeah.
it's
a lot of driving.
I
Yeah.
do think that is generally true.
Sure,
But there's
sure.
so many ways to make up for it, and you're right. You're also funny or not. Some people can put all the work in and don't get funnier.
Yeah,
I mean, we've
that's
seen
why,
that,
like,
you
The
know?
all my-
problem is that they get better at marketing, which is like there
Right.
are
Oh,
some
yeah.
pretty successful people out there who are only successful because they're marketable over funny. But that's whatever. That's everything.
I used all
That
the
happens. It's
all
a
the
different
big
part.
shows, all the national comedians coming through with me hosting. It was almost like my open mic, and I can't tell you how many new bits I've tried on those things, because where else am I gonna do it? You know,
Yeah.
it's pretty
But
brutal.
also, you can't. Like, I wish someone would have sat me down and fucking pounded this into my skull 15 years ago. But it's a fact. I accept it, and I'm glad I do now. You simply cannot compare yourself to other people.
Nah,
Yeah.
You
absolutely
just
not.
can't.
Such a
It's
trap.
different. It's a
Yeah.
different path. And like, I've been doing this 22 years. I got fucking friends who who started after me who are selling out theaters now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are famous. Does that make them better at comedy than me? No. That just makes them more sellable. That
Yeah.
they're more. They've figured out their thing that connects them with their audience, and they figured it out faster than me. I'm not. Look, here I am. We're only doing what 1,600 seats tonight. You said.
Yeah.
1780.
Little under
1780
2,000.
here.
1780.
Little
At-
under 2,000.
right, at Club 337, which is
Yeah.
great. Which is great.
We're
And
doing
that's a start.
We're doing 12 shows, but
That's it.
still, we got it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, over the years.
Yeah, over the year, we
over
got
the
it.
decade,
Yeah,
we're doing
we
over
pushed past
15 years, I will have sold 1,700
that.
tickets.
We're like
in Lafayette.
we're like a kid-sized Smoothie King.
Yeah,
Center.
exactly.
Smoothie King Center, but kid-sized.
You got to start real small. For the pickleball equivalent of basketball, which
We're still wearing high shorts.
Yeah.
They're gonna come down.
But I mean, like, you can't. Yeah, it's also like. But I admire everybody I know who's mega successful. Fuck yeah, and they're successful for a reason. Like I said, they figured it out. But I don't detract. I don't sit there and go, man. I used to be like, fuck. I guess I suck and they're awesome. And then you realize, like, no, we're all like. Comedy's subjective. I love what I do. I love what I say on stage. Maybe I'm just for a smaller group of people.
All right, so I'm gonna
Whatever it is.
Let me transition on this, because this is something like I'm gonna let you in behind the scenes. I'm sure you know. So, first of all, when people ask me my top 3 comedians, I say Dave Attell. He's
Oh, Dave's the best.
he's my best.
You also got to look at him and go, that guy, he achieved everything you want to achieve as a comic.
Yeah.
And he's still showing up at clubs in New York at 1:30 a.m. to run spots.
I have a
I think
theory.
just to smoke.
I have a theory
That's
that
it. And to
one
drink
of the
coffee.
things that makes him so great is he hasn't put out a lot of material, and he is
That's true.
he's like a
Yeah.
firm believer in you pay to come see me.
Yeah.
I mean, name his famous specials.
Megan
Skanks for the Memories.
Skanks
It's
for the
one of the
Memories.
greatest albums
Yeah.
ever, but
Your mouth's
but
not
that's it.
pregnant. That didn't really get the push.
and
it
then the
needed.
bumping mic stuff. He's done good
Yeah.
stuff, but he doesn't put out specials.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part of the mystique and like what makes him so great is he just goes do club comedy every single fucking
I mean,
night.
yeah. And I see, whenever I'm in New York, we're usually on the late night shows at the Cellar.
Yeah.
I watch his sets.
He's the
he
reason I
still
went
just
last
brings it.
year.
Yeah.
Because when I opened for him LaBerge, he's like, "You need to come to New York," and I was like, "I'm going to New York," and then there we were,
That's fucking
But so
awesome.
anyway, going back to mine,
Yeah.
when they asked me my 3, Attell's up there,
Right.
And then I always say in the same breath, Kinane and Sean Patton. It's
true. Thank
and
you.
then like you are like I think I've seen you the most of any comedians I've ever seen. You're one of my favorites.
Thank
and
you.
It's like it doesn't make sense of why it hasn't popped, and but I get it.
Yeah.
But then I see some people who pop, and I'm like, but also I'm a deep fan of yours. So,
Thank you.
But we're always going like when we talk around and like comedians, everyone goes for people sell out arenas, but I'm always like, no, Sean Patton,
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't know. I wish
I
I
mean,
had the
it's
answer
also,
for it.
and but I realize you got to realize, it's just the journey, man. Because popping, it's also like, what does that mean? Does that mean that I started selling out tickets, selling out arenas overnight? No, but I can say I've been making a living doing comedy for over 12 years now.
which is killer.
I've been and I get to do this, and I get to travel the world, and I get to live on my terms, doing what I love. And if that's not enough for you, you're in the wrong fucking business.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And if you can't be happy with everything I just said, you are in the wrong profession.
Because everyone else you
this
mentioned,
is fucking great.
They're the extreme. They're
they're doing great.
arenas. You're doing that's the extreme, you know.
Nate Bargatze is fucking awesome. I love that dude. He deserves to be where he is. He's clean. He's a family man.
Yeah.
He appeals to other people and families. He's got Norman, another New Orleanian who's
never heard of him. Go ahead.
Markford Normanson.
He's Michael Norman.
Normaful.
He talks like her. What if you took Norman's voice but made it really deep, like dropped it a couple octaves?
Comedy.
Comedy.
I'm gay.
Gay. Queef.
Yeah.
Queefs.
By the way, I'm opening. This won't come out now. I was gonna do dates. I was gonna do plugs, but it won't come out in time. That's fine.
No, but Mark's fucking great. Mark, like he's stylistically, he's like that classic old school comic with like a modern twist, and of course that fucking sells. So it's like I got nothing but love
makes
for all
for
these
clips
people.
too, right? And that's a big difference between you two.
Yeah, I don't clip a lot.
Stylistically, it's
I don't
hard
clip
for
a
you
lot.
to make clips because
It is hard
the
for me
kind
to
of
make
comedy
clips.
you do,
Yeah.
and that's a difference.
So this is your 7th time. So tonight, we're doing the show. This is gonna be out, but this is your 7th time here. We started 2015.
Yeah, man.
I shot you the dates. I don't
JP's
remember.
bar.
JP's
bar.
no relation.
That show was weird too.
That was.
I remember it being like a weird night.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
That was our home base.
So let me bring you back on this because this is my favorite story to tell.
Yeah.
We had the this not this part, but we had the grand shooting here during Trainwreck. It was Amy Schumer's movie.
Yeah.
And so it happened here at a theater in Lafayette. So we did a big benefit for it. We had, and she donated stuff. We had like Dave Ross. We had record labels donate stuff. We did a bunch of stuff, and we had the silent auction.
Yeah.
And I go, and you were coming up that year. This again is 2015, and you were you had a show coming up. So I put a pair of tickets to your show for the silent auction. End of the night, I went to it. It was like $130, and I was like, well, like damn, like all right. And this guy came up to me. He goes, "Yeah, me and this guy got in a bidding war because we thought it was Sean Payton." And I remember, and I didn't have your number then, so I had to text Polk, and I was like, "I need you to get this to Sean Patton, and I need this verbatim or whatever." And you remember, he came in the front. He sat in the front row by himself. He wore big basketball shorts.
Right. Okay.
And he's come to like almost every show you've done here. I don't know if he's coming tonight.
Fucking hilarious. Dude.
Yeah. So
yeah, I do remember that. I do also remember that, the opener, Andrew Polk, that night, some girl he was kind of hooking up with, she had an apartment, with an extra bedroom, and she was like, hey, she had told him beforehand, hey, you guys can just stay up here with me after the show if you want. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And we went back to her place after being at the bar, and we're just partying, and her and I got in a knockdown, drag-out argument because she's a hardcore conservative.
Oh, nice.
Right? What was Polk doing?
I mean, and that's what I was like, what is she doing? Like, Polk almost looks like what happened if you, whisper liberal into a pair of fucking dirty Chuck Taylors. Polk just grows out of him. You know what I mean? I was like, that's insane. But, and not like I don't really side with, I mean, I guess I am, I don't side with Democrat or Republican. I don't side.
Yeah.
I just kind of don't choose either. I am more morally liberal, but she was just saying, dumb shit.
Yeah.
And we got into a fucking argument, and I left. I, left to go sleep in my car.
Wow. That was in Lafayette?
And, yeah, in Lafayette. And Polk was like, and then he called me and was like, hey, man, she's saying you should come back up and not drive. And I'm like, I'm not driving. I'm sleeping in the car. Fuck off. And then she came down and knocked on the window and kind of woke me up. I was like, listen, I don't agree with you, and I kind of don't like you, but I can't let you just sleep out in the car in the parking lot. It's an extra bedroom. Just come back up. And I was like, fine. And I fucking stormed back up and fell asleep in her spare room, peed the bed. By accident. That part was not planned.
Well,
and woke up the next day and had to then had to be like, hey, by the way, I'm
sorry.
I also wet the bed.
Do you ever wonder if people like that watch your special?
Sure.
And you're just
Sure.
making eggs, and you're like,
sure,
that bitch.
you have to get used to the idea when you do this that there are more people than you think who do not like you.
Yeah.
And you just have to be okay with that.
I remember that night because we went. I had my big beard then, and we went and eat at
did
Mellow
have that
Mushroom
big-ass beard.
because I had won all those free pizzas.
Yeah, he got a free pizza a week for like
I
a
had
year,
52
right?
free pizzas. And then I remember, like Polk, I don't know what his weird Alexandria digestive system is, but we got like a veggie pizza with vegan cheese.
Vegan cheese.
And I was like, these freaking, and it was amazing. And that was like my first
I
introduction
still
to
can't
just
do vegan cheese.
eating vegan
gross.
cheese with you.
I can do vegan. I can do everything vegetarian. I still can't do like the fake like vegan cheese, soy meat,
Yeah.
tempeh, all that. I still can't like. I don't know why. I also just feel like I hate when it's like soy chicken breast. It's like just call it an animal that isn't alive anymore.
Yeah.
Call it like fucking
Dodo bird.
or like
Dodo bird.
pterodactyl meat. You know, but yeah, that first time was wild.
Mm-hmm.
And that time we did the tent at the beer garden because of the pandemic.
Let me pull it up here.
That was wild.
Because I want to go through them just for the fans at home. They're probably playing bingo. So we had you 2017 and 19 here. And then we had you 2020 at the beer garden. That was the year of COVID.
It was the year of COVID.
Yeah, because it was the night before Halloween.
It was November.
No, October 30th.
October 30th.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we
dude.
had you here in 21 and in 22 in this room.
Yeah.
And then tonight is the night for number 7.
Well, this
So-
room is always fucking
This
splendid.
is the best
Yeah.
room in the state.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
So let me go back to you peeing in that girl's bed.
yeah.
Because
felt bad. A day bed too, a trundle bed.
Bed
oh,
wetters.
that's where you pee. They should be
You
plastic
are a
sheets.
known bedwetter.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore because I quit drinking, but like you know,
Totally?
I mean, for a while.
Okay.
I'm saying that like it's only been 3 weeks, but
Oh,
like,
okay.
but and I wasn't. No, back then it was way worse because I used to just do shots and I quit
Yeah.
drinking booze basically for a while.
Okay.
But like, I mean, booze being hard alcohol.
Yeah.
But like, man, it was a weird night, dude. It was a weird night.
So speaking of bedwetting,
Yeah.
let me go back to when you were here. That when you were touring for the show was called Bedwetter.
No, it's called Number One.
No, what was it?
Yeah, that's what this.
I thought the
Well, number one was
no
the special.
back in the day.
Number One still is special, but no, the show was about. It's centered around bedwetting.
Because I remember the poster and it was you in the bed, right?
Yeah, me in the bed, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That was that was when I was writing with Laugh Button,
Right.
And then we did like
Right.
4 nights
You
on the
followed
road,
me, yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
To this date, that's my favorite hour I've ever seen from you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was
magical
wild.
because I watched you 4 nights in a row make an audience cry.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you broke down about
What
your
did you do to them?
he took off his shirt.
Why did you make
He
him
was like
cry?
Bert Kreischer. I mean,
I pulled out a gun instead of like it's all over, guys.
pussies.
Yeah, you're all. I'm kidding. It's and I lit. And it was.
Then he
and it
just
was
did
a
his
giant-
closer holding a gun.
Right.
He was like Gumbo's dark soup. All right,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
everyone,
yeah.
Roll Tide.
I told everyone Santa wasn't real.
Oh, then they lynched
He
him.
forgets to. Exactly. He forget to fucking. I was performing for kids.
Oh yeah,
You know.
that's fine. That's fine.
Like,
Those little
Santa's
bastards.
not
need to
real.
listen.
It's
you
your
little
dad.
bastards.
But no, that because you broke down about the hurricane and your
Yeah.
dad, your mom, that conversation, which you've done on the other special, but. It was like, and I remember the first night seeing it, and I was like, holy shit. And then you hit him with the stupidest little joke after,
Yeah.
and it just elevates the show. It
Yeah.
was amazing. That's my favorite hour. Probably it's my favorite hour I've ever seen of any comedian.
Thank you.
All right.
I mean, that's the thing I believe in. Like, I don't, like, I just, it's a longer path, but it's the right path. Like, I just don't, I think, like, too many comedians are obsessed with the concept of killing. And to them, killing only means in the moment getting the biggest laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of a virus going around in the comedy community now. It's kind of destroying the craft. Where like people are so obsessed with the idea of killing now at any cost. No one cared. No one's paying any attention anymore to what they're saying.
Do you think it makes their act worse?
Right. They don't care. They don't give a shit. They don't care if they're up there saying stupid shit. Everybody, a lot of motherfuckers are pandering now, just
Yeah.
saying what they have to say to get the big laugh. And that's how they measure themselves as a comedian. And I just grew up, like, if you go back to classics and you grow up and you look at comedy that made stand-up the fucking super popular art form that it is now, because it is. It's
Yeah.
arguably the biggest live performance.
Bigger than it's ever been.
It's bigger.
without
It's
doubt.
bigger than
Yeah.
music. It's bigger than everything right now. And if you look at what got us here, it was not pandering ass
Right.
killbots.
The opposite,
It was
actually,
people
yeah.
saying shit that would challenge audiences that maybe didn't get the biggest laugh in the moment, but then 2 days later the person's thinking about it still and laughing to themselves. Or sometimes does get the biggest laugh in the moment, but then still also pushes them into an uncomfortable place where they then have to deal with whatever demons put them in that uncomfortable place and laugh those off and then become bigger fans because I get so fucking bored watching some of the shit that's out there. And whatever. That's also because I've been doing this for a while, but I see a lot of people taking zero risks and just trying to do the self-serving, ego-inflating thing of killing. And I'm like, everyone's going to be, you're going to be forgotten in a year. No one's going to give a shit anymore. And like,
You think of the specials back then, like the bits that I remember were albums like pre like 2001, really, like going back to like 90s, like the Hedbergs and the Attell albums and like the Chris Rock and the Chappelle, like those bits, like they're kind of built in, they've lived forever. Whereas now, very few things are like how can I say this, like a bit that's like your mom knows. You know, that's made it across non-comedy people too.
I think there's just so much.
Well,
Who do you think defies what you're saying though? Who do you think
there's tons.
Who do you think is underappreciated?
Like I mean, underappreciated. That's that list. I don't know if we have enough time.
So much.
But I mean, I think there are like a couple of like.
Here in Lafayette.
I think there are.
Are they at this table?
I think there are a couple of like living legends right now. Like I think like a guy like Jeselnik is an actual like example of someone who's like a living, like that guy will go down when his time's up, when it's all said and done. You have to put that guy in the category of the greats, just because like he's consistently been him since I've known, but since everyone's known him since. Where he really started blowing up in the late aughts. Yeah. And like he's stayed that good and he's only gotten better and he's only gotten smarter and he's only like leaned into it more. And like he goes on and he's the classic example of what a joke is. It's like, a lot of that shit is dark and fucked up, but that's the point. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I've had audiences before tell me, like, you know, I was touring with David Cross this year, right? Yeah. And David, I think he's fucking brilliant, but he is dark. Yeah, he goes for it. He does not fuck around. And I've had people, people who weren't truly fans of his. They were only fans of like the Chipmunks or Arrested Development, which was a great. Arrested Development was a great show, absolutely. But like it wasn't like he didn't write that show. He was just a great performer. But like, people being like, "Oh man, I didn't really want to talk about. I didn't really want to hear about this kind of topics tonight." And I'm like, then you should have done your fucking research. And also like, is that the world you live in where you just ignore? You want to like just like pull a curtain and just to the shit that he's talking about? Like it's not like he's.
But also, even if you find yourself there, open up a little bit. Just enjoy it. But I mean, we get that sometimes, and you know,
all the time.
We had Neil Hamburger, beginning of the year, and they were like, I had an email the next day was like, I don't know what that was. I'm like, dude, his name is Neil Hamburger. Google. That's it. I'm not going to watch
research.
Yeah, I'm not paying tickets to go watch a band I've never heard of. I'm gonna do something. I'm like, oh, they're this type of band, But
I mean, it's so easy now too. 99.99999% of ticket links have a clip.
Yeah,
right, fucking there.
Yeah.
So when you show up with your birthday party and you're mad that I don't roast you, which that's the other thing. When audience shows up for events and like roast us, like I don't know anything about you. You haven't done anything with your life other than live another year. Like what the fuck do you want me to say?
We won't have any birthdays tonight, but the whole crowd is a bridal party. So.
That would be. You know what I would do? I would get their attention, get them to pull out their cameras, be like, start filming now, and then pull a gun out and blow my head off on just like right there.
You would be the most famous comedian of all time.
This podcast is going to take off if that happens. Like,
I'm not going to do that.
Tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for Patton's greatest hit.
Well, that's one thing I do kind of hope about comedy being so popular now. The thing that I hope ends is people stop showing up expecting it to be about them.
Yeah,
that's
the worst.
Yeah, and these shows are really good because it's not a comedy club. We're not paper in the room. If you come in here, you're buying a ticket, and you get a very small percentage of people like, we're just going to go see comedy, but everyone else is like, we're fans. Here we go. So very seldom we have those issues.
No, it's great, and like I also love that like. You talked about this being the best room in Louisiana kind of thing, but like I do love that what you guys have called, what you specifically, only you, no one else, no help from anyone else. You, JP Leonard, solely you, no one else.
It's a lot of pressure, but go
I know.
ahead.
Yeah, zero other talent.
Zero other friends or
Zero
talent.
other talent.
The fact that every other comedian in Lafayette just does bits of yours.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That you wrote for them.
I'm like the guy off that Eddie Murphy movie with the golden child.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Everyone just comes to the show and they're like, I want the joke, and then it appears.
There it is.
So-
There it is. But like, you have cultivated a thing here that is pretty magnificent.
It's
and
special.
I always do say like Lafayette is like the other city in Louisiana I tell people about because I'm from New Orleans is my home and I love it. And I think
Yeah.
it's the dopest city. But like Lafayette is also a very dope city. Like and we don't talk about the other one in between the two.
Baton Rouge.
That I
It's the
don't.
worst.
That I just don't love. That I just
You
have.
hear me, Baton Rouge?
I'm sorry.
I'm looking at
I
all the
just,
cameras.
We've had a weird time.
The
you
best
and I.
comedy shows in Baton Rouge are ran by Jason.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll stay tuned for the dates at the end. All right, so this is called We're Dying Down Here. All right, so we called it. First of all, me and Tyler went through so many names. It was just to be called the Fat Boys too.
Old Fashions, New Bits.
Yeah,
We had some names.
Fat Boys with a Z. We had a lot of
Yeah.
fat in there. But we settled on We're Dying Down Here because here's the thing, going back to like the amount of stage time, but like we both have, we're both grounded down here. We both have our jobs. I have kids and a wife. Tyler has a kid. We're kind of stuck here unless we uproot.
Are they one of your kids?
Wait, what?
We share
yeah, I
kids.
gave him
Okay.
one of my
Okay,
kids.
shit,
yeah.
He had too many.
You know.
I gave him the boy.
Wait, you didn't tell me she was a boy.
That's fucking
You
wild.
gotta check
bro.
under the hood.
Yeah.
She's also racist. She's in the Klan, the hood. All right, sorry. All right.
Just point at all the cameras.
Jesus Christ.
Like you don't know which one's pointed at you.
I know which one, but I point to all of them equally because they can't even see me in that one, and that one. Anyway,
Yeah, this is the bright. Like I'm just getting used to this for later, where it's like this is bright.
yeah,
I
sorry.
like it though.
Well, we want to get our good features, but so we're also stuck down here, and like we're dying down here because we bring it. All these national comedians. We talk, we hang out. Every now and then we get to escape. Tyler did Skankfest. I was just in New York. We do festival, we do shows, but the reality of our lives is we're stuck here unless we make a big move. So. Going back to you, New Orleans, I know you spent time at Baton Rouge. When did you decide, like, if I'm going to do comedy, I got to go elsewhere? Like, was it the drive that, like, I got to go to New York, or how did that happen?
February 4th, 2005.
Damn. Okay.
I remember the day because it was my dad's birthday, and at that point, I'd been doing comedy a few years in New Orleans, and like, back then, like, if you were good in New Orleans, you got up maybe 7 times a month.
Jeez.
Right, because there was a few open mics and then a few like booked shows.
Was
right?
like
Monthly
Lucy's
shows.
Surf, what was that place called?
Lucy's was not. Lucy's
yet,
was doing
okay.
monthly stuff, but they weren't
Okay.
doing the open mic yet. But the main open mic was at a place called True Brew Cafe, which was around the corner. And wait, what? Yeah, it was around the corner, and it was fucking awesome. And was it? Yeah, it was. Anyway, sorry. And then Carrollton Station, which now is a weekly open mic, was a place where we just did monthly shows, and that place was fucking rad. And there was like a lot going on. There was a little community. There was a lot going on. But I realized that like I'd been thinking about it for a while. And for the first few years I was in New Orleans, there was a group of us that were like, hey, we can do this. Like, we didn't know any better. The internet was not what the internet is now. YouTube didn't exist yet.
Right.
Social media was Friendster. That was
Jesus.
it.
Not
That was
even
it.
MySpace?
MySpace was not around yet. Facebook was not around yet.
Yeah.
It was Friendster.
AOL chat
Yeah.
message.
AOL chat.
And it was a thing where it was like we just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And comics that would come down that we'd end up like, we didn't bring them down here, but you'd meet them every now and again. They would tell you had to leave, but they also would be blown away by the city. They loved
Yeah.
it, So, but then it was like, I started thinking about it, and then for months, and then like on my dad's birthday, I just remember, I don't know why it happened then and there. It was just, my dad was grilling out back, and I was just sitting there fucking watching him. And something about watching my dad fucking, my dad just like working,
You
just
knew,
grilling.
you were
I was
like, is this going to be me?
It could have been that, but it was also just like I think, because at the time, my parents had never seen me do stand-up.
Oh, okay.
I kept them away.
Yeah.
I actively was like,
I
you're
did that
not
too.
fucking doing it. And I remember just being like, I need to invite my parents to a show, and I need to fucking go. And I did. I invited them to a show for the first time. They came for the first time, and it was one of those somewhat magical events where it was at this place called Le Chat Noir, which closed after the storm, but was this awesome little cabaret theater on St. Charles, 140-seater. It was awesome. And they came to this show, and it was one of these shows where everyone had a really rough set except me.
Wow.
And it was weird because it was really funny people on the show, but everyone was just having a bumpy ride. And then I went out there and just had this like banger, and my parents got to see that and were like emotional. They were both, because
That's
because I was
Wow.
a fuck up. I was a fuck up until that point in their eyes. From when I was 16 till at that point, 26, a decade. I was just this fuck up in their eyes, and then they finally saw me do a thing that I was good at and loved, and they knew I'd been doing for a while, but didn't really support it until then.
And then
so
they
like,
started supporting you.
yeah, big time.
Wow.
And they never got my parents never stood in my way. They never tried to like stop me from doing stand up, but they tried to talk me out of it. They'd try and like have those
Like a good parent would.
like when you'd go there for like a dinner and I could sense it coming every time.
Yeah.
Where it was like, here now they're
You're
gonna
gonna get a job,
they're
Sean.
gonna- or
What
it's
you
like,
doing? Yeah.
maybe you should consider going to culinary school or maybe going back to college. And that was the thing. Like I had lied. Here's something my parents didn't find out. In fact, no one found out till I came clean about it on Ryan Sickler's podcast earlier this year, the Honeydew. I dropped out of high school, right? That's a fact. And and up until that podcast came out earlier this year, everyone thought I got my GED at some point.
Oh,
I never did.
Wow.
I
Just
lied.
like,
I
yeah.
lied to everyone to get them off my fucking. To like,
Nice.
leave me alone.
Wow.
I got jokes that's right.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even doing comedy yet.
Oh, shit.
You
I
were
was just an
yeah.
18-year-old fuck up, and my parents pressure. They were like, "You're going to get your damn GED," and all of my friends were even like, "You got to do it." And I just lied to them all and said I was doing it, and I never
Wow.
did it. I never got my GED, and I never came clean about that till
That's
till that
funny.
podcast earlier
Did
this
your
year.
mom text you or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, I mean,
was
she-
it disappointment?
No. My parents, I lucked out. My parents are both fucking great. Like, they weren't when I was a little shit, but I was a little shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a terrible kid. But, like, they wanted me to, they like any parent, they don't, I mean, I don't know. Nowadays, it seems like parents like, oh, you want to be a comedian? Well, the map's there. Go here.
Yeah.
Watch Matt
Yeah.
Wright's special.
Yeah.
Learn to do
God
crowd
damn
work.
it.
Move to New York.
I would.
Work out now. Work out. If
Yeah.
you're a woman, get an OnlyFans page and show
Hey,
your
you could be
show
a
your
man,
ass
you
and
could
make
be
a
a
fuck.
male comedian with OnlyFans.
Okay,
now.
or that. That's how you make your money. Tell everyone you're a comedian, but make all your money on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Which technically does just call yourself an OnlyFanser.
Just do really good promo videos and don't work
There
on
needs to be
jokes.
a word for that type of person, and I refuse content creator. The word creator is too powerful for that bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Because it's too easy.
You're not creating
Yeah,
anything.
it's too easy to upload
Filming
something.
your ass is not creating. You can't create content because content technically just exists everywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
I did a video
Yeah,
about
yeah.
this where it's like when you're just filming, like, hey, here's me in the book. Like this right now, we're not creating anything. We're just talking.
We're creating a wonderful podcast.
We're having a conversation.
I'm gonna have graphics and transitions. And, okay,
Yeah, okay,
but
but
I
you're
get.
right, you're right,
okay,
right. Well, actually, okay, this
It's gonna
is
be
a
a
little bit more.
crawfish over
But
your
it's got-
head.
There's a segment called Hack Watch.
But you know it, right? There's going to be an animated version
There
of this.
is.
There is. It's a
Okay,
hatchet. I'll show it to you.
That's creating. Okay,
I'll show
that's
it to you.
creating.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
I took it
I'll
from
give you
Canva. It was built in.
But when
go
people
ahead.
when people are like, I'm a content creator, and they just film themselves working out and then jump cut that together,
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not creating shit.
Yeah.
You're just working out and filming it.
Yeah.
Like anyway, point is,
It's
I
a
think-
Jim Carrey movie.
What I
Yeah.
say, call yourself a content documenter or a content
Uploader.
uploader, but
a
anyway,
space waster.
a space waste.
There you go.
I like
a,
it.
a gigabyte blaster, whatever. But like but that was the day I decided I had to leave, and then I
Nice.
made a plan. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get the rest of the year. I'm gonna save money, and leave. And then whoops, Katrina hit. But then I left, but I still left February 2006.
All right.
So, but I mean, I don't know, man. What the internet being what the internet is now, I don't know that you need to be anywhere anymore. You just got to be
Yeah.
somewhere where you can consistently do what you do.
Hey, I've
Yeah.
been
And get it
saying
out
this,
there.
but
Yeah.
I think people like Sam Talent and Ali Sadiq are breeding a new generation of
Yeah,
comedians
yeah.
who
Yeah.
want to stay
Thoroughly.
where they're at
Thoroughly.
and just work hard
Yeah.
and get good at the craft.
Now, but I will, but also, you do have to point out both of those guys do live in cities with pretty major comedy scenes.
much bigger than where
Yeah.
we're at. Absolutely,
I mean, much
yeah.
bigger than anywhere in the state.
Houston
Like,
is awesome.
Houston's
Like, I am
huge,
a big, huge
and
fan of
I mean,
Houston.
Denver is arguably one of the
Yeah.
top 5 comedy scenes
sure.
on the planet.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
Sam also lived in Vegas,
Yeah.
He's moved around a lot too. He moved to New Orleans when the pandemic hit.
I did not know that.
Damn. I
Yeah,
didn't
he
know
was
that.
going to stay for a while, but nope.
Yeah, I did remember because it was that's right when Polk came back,
Yeah.
and then everything shut down. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How we looking on time?
I think we're getting close. So we got a show tonight, number
Yes.
7 for you.
yeah.
So tonight's going to be me, Tyler, Isaac Cozell from New Orleans,
Yeah.
and yourself.
Speaking of, I ran into Isaac as I was checking into I was going into my
Nice.
room. He was like, "I'm gonna go get a quick workout in before
Oh, get out
before
of
the
here.
set," and
So
he had
gay.
the headphones and the tight shirt.
I love Isaac.
and the
oh,
you know? Sorry,
There
this
we go,
mic-
that's
Did
the
you do
end.
this on the honeydew?
this microphone won't. It don't want me taking the truth out there. Isaac had a camera crew with him, following him to go work out.
hey man, content creators will content create.
You mean Isaac Rife? So all right. So thank you so much. Tell us whatever plugs you want to do for the tens of people that watch this. But
Tens of people's more than no people.
Don't bother
Yeah.
giving dates, but any big projects or anything coming out?
I mean, I'm filming my next special next year.
Woo!
I just don't know when that will come out.
Where? Do you know where?
I don't really, man. I don't.
Do you have feelings?
I do have a couple feelings. I
Club 337 Lafayette.
I mean, that would be interesting. I wanted to do it in Chicago, but this year everyone filmed a special in
Right.
Chicago. Feels like everyone.
Chicago and
Chicago's
Austin. Austin has a bunch
fantastic
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Austin's a good time. I don't know because I did the first one at Tipitina's in New
Yeah.
Orleans.
you know what I think looks great? Comedy Works in Denver. Nick Mullen did
Yeah.
a special there. I
Yeah.
love club specials.
Yeah.
I just love the intimacy that a club special brings.
Yeah, I'm thinking on it, but it'll happen. But yeah, check my website, MeSeanPatton.com. Got a bunch of fucking, got a bunch of stuff coming out on that. And Google Brian Jordan Alvarez. He's an actual content creator because he does characters and shit. He creates some fucking and he's a comedy creator. That guy's fucking brilliant. But Google his name and read all of the articles. Read them fully.
About him or by him?
About a thing he's doing that's coming up, and you'll learn something.
Brian
A
Jordan.
little thing in New Orleans.
A little thing
Brian
about
Jordan Alvarez.
a little thing about myself as well. Yeah,
A little thing in New
Okay.
Orleans.
a little thing about a project he's got coming up.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
I have
I'm
no idea.
excited
I
about
feel
it.
like I'm out of the loop, so I'm gonna get off this podcast and Google it immediately. So
And,
You just need to
um,
talk with Zambon, and then he'll feel you.
okay.
And also, I just want to remind everyone. I'm gonna say this tonight on the show too, but Google how many Catholic priests have. Just leave it at that, and remember that next time you throw the church in someone's face. That's all I'm saying.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
We're dying down here with Sean Patton.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank
you very much,
you
buddy.
boys. Man, you guys may if the three of us were gay men, we would be just the most popular all Bears account on
We would be
OnlyFans.
eating so good all the time
Jesus.
too. Can
We
you
would be the three
imagine?
bears.
The three Bears. You son of a bitch! You make me want to flip just for that joke.